bonjour. Bonjour, ça va? Salut. Salut. Allez, ça fait longtemps. Hmm, Tu m'as manqué, mon petit. Alors, croquis de femme enceinte par John. Ah oui, alors, je me souviens plus exactement où on en était. Voilà, ça c'est mon Sherlock, ça. On en était où, nous? Nous avions étudié l'affaire étrange d'un vol de tableau. Et donc, cet individu avait pas un tableau qui venait d'être volé. On va chez lui et on le trouve mort. Voilà, comme c'est embarrassant. Il y avait une cachette dans laquelle était dissimulée une photographie d'un homme déguisé en démon violant une... Ah oui, le truc dégueulasse là. Cher Mercure, nous avons trouvé une photographie ayant capturé le vil méfait d'un homme débauché sur une jeune femme. John a tracé un croquis de l'agresseur en référence, sur lequel il l'a représenté avec un costume rouge et une queue. La cicatrice présente sur le visage de la femme semble correspondre aux pratiques traditionnelles de la tribu des Ews, je ne sais pas, le seul endroit où l'on est susceptible de trouver des membres de cette tribu encore de là est le camp de réfugiés qui se situe sous le pont de Victoria entre Scaladio et Silverton. Et je crois que j'y suis en plus quasiment. Eh oui, Scaladio, Silverton, le pont de Victoria, ok, très bien. Ah oui, si, je me souviens. J'étais arrivé là, ça avait déclenché une petite cinématique. Alors évidemment, tout le monde va s'être fait buter parce que on peut avoir des réponses en 5 secondes, mais non. Oula.
Sir, this place is off limits to the public. Please state your business or leave, or I shall request that the police escort you out.
My name is Sherlock Holmes. I'm a private investigator. I'm looking for a witness for a case.
A private investigator? Really? Even so, you're not authorized. I can't let you in.
And you are?
I'm Ronald Harlow, here to handle the refugee situation on behalf of City Hall. I'm the acting supervisor here, so I have full authority here to ask you to leave, or I shall order the police to detain you for trying to pass the blockade. Please, step back.
Air pâle à des cernes, travail à l'intérieur. Ok. Fine moustache, essaie de paraître plus âgé. Trop bien habillé, va avoir l'air autoritaire. Transpire, étendu, paume moite. Chaussures propres, sédentaires. Trop bien habillé. Gratte-papier épuisé ou formaliste hébété. Ronald Harlow est un jeune fonctionnaire dépressif qui se trouve épuisé par le lot quotidien de son poste. L'hôtel de ville lui a en effet confié la supervision du camp de réfugiés, mais la fatigue et l'indifférence le rendent incapable de résoudre les problèmes qui se manifestent. Il porte une mince moustache qui, selon lui, ajoute quelques années à son apparence. La pâleur de sa peau et les cernes qui pèsent sous ses yeux suggèrent qu'il est las du bureau étroit et sombre qu'il ne quitte que rarement, bien que ses chaussures propres et encore quasi neuves révèlent en lui un manque d'engouement pour les activités en extérieur. Ses paumes noires indiquent enfin que Ronald est en proie à une grande anxiété. Il aurait peut-être dû moins se couvrir. Ses paumes moites, ouais. Il aurait peut-être dû moins se couvrir compte tenu des conditions météorologiques du jour. Ronald Harlow est un jeune fonctionnaire au teint pâle qui fait de son mieux pour superviser le camp de réfugiés que l'hôtel de ville lui a confié. La responsabilité de l'enchant de guerre, mais il agit toujours selon les règles et accomplit chaque mission qu'il reçoit. Il n'a toutefois pas l'expérience nécessaire pour s'occuper de problèmes qu'il ne peut résoudre à son bureau avec une simple feuille de papier. Il s'efforce d'ajouter quelques années à son apparence en se faisant pousser une mince moustache. La pâleur de sa peau et les cernes qui pèsent sous ses yeux suggèrent qu'il travaille dans un bureau mal éclairé qui ne quitte que rarement, comme en témoignent ses chaussures propres et encore quasi neuves. Les habits distingués qu'il porte indiquent un besoin impérieux d'incarner une figure d'autorité, mais ceci lui donne plutôt un air incongru en raison des conditions météorologiques qu'ordonna. Ses paumes moites suggèrent en outre que Ronald est en proie à une grande anxiété, sans doute dû au fait d'avoir quitté l'environnement qui lui était familier. Oui, moi je vote pour ça, hein.
What about the murder that this crowd keeps shouting about?
It's mere assumption. I assure you that the situation is under the police's control.
I know you want to deal with this in the right way. You are obviously a professional and a responsible person, but you clearly have never handled a situation like this before.
I am handling it, Mr. Holmes. Don't question my capability here.
And tell me how you do it. You can't even calm this gathered crowd, and as for the police, they're not quite managing it either, are they? You consider yourself a problem solver, but until today, you've been solving problems sitting at your desk in a dark corner of a city hall room. Here, you need a more practical approach.
What are you driving at, Mr. Holmes?
I can help you to handle the situation if you're truly interested in solving things quickly and quietly.
And how exactly would you manage that?
Simply tell the police that I'm with City Hall and I'm permitted to investigate the scene. I'll work out the rest, but in return I need your help finding my witness. She's a young refugee. She's with child or was with child recently.
Look, there is indeed a dead body inside the camp. So even if the girl you are looking for is there, all the refugees are now being detained and interrogated by the police. They won't allow you to speak with her, and I can't do anything about that until the situation settles down.
So it's in our mutual interest to settle it.
Oh. I suppose that things are bad enough that I ought not shy away from help. All right, Mr. Holmes. I'll tell the police to allow you to come inside. Just tell me when you're ready.
Mr. Harlow, how did the refugees end up here exactly?
Oh, so you're not from around here yourself?
I've been away for some time, but I read the papers.
Yes, this whole story has been in the papers for almost a year now. They were smuggled to Cordona on a ship from Africa.
Smuggled? Then why didn't you deport them?
The smugglers managed to sneak them to shore and hide them inside an abandoned warehouse. When the police raided the warehouse and found the refugees there, the ship was already gone. We aren't even certain as to which ship it was. We have busy shipping routes with other colonies these days, you see.
So you decided to lock them up under a bridge?
There was no other option. We're still trying to work out what to do with them. I only hope we'll find a humane solution and not put them on a raft and float them out to sea.
Mr. Harlow, what exactly do you do here? What are your responsibilities?
What I do and what I am responsible for are two different realities, Mr. Holmes. On paper, I am in charge of the camp territory, security, provision, and the refugees in general. What I actually do most of the time is knock on every city hall door trying to obtain some funding, or at least rations for the camp.
Are the police here on City Hall's behalf too?
They are, minus those who came here after the body was found. The governor won't let the refugees disperse into the island, so there's a significant police presence guarding the camp. Naturally, they answer directly to the police. I have some influence here, but I'm not their direct authority.
I'm ready to take a look at the scene.
All right. Go inside the camp and find Inspector Tewkesbury. He's the officer investigating the scene. Tell him I sent you. Say you're an independent expert from City Hall. He'll fill in the details for you.
I'll find my way with words. Thank you, Mr. Harlow.
Who the hell are you? How did you get in here?
Mr. Ronald Harlow let me in, sir. I'm Sherlock Holmes, surveyor of refugee affairs with City Hall. You're Inspector Tewkesbury, I presume?
A surveyor? What does that even mean?
In short,
Il y a un
I've been
bug
sent to
graphique,
conduct
ils ont
an
tous
extensive report on the incident for the
valeur de
colonial
3 jours.
office, and to assess all the damage inflicted on state property.
Got it. Another paperworm sent to count money and get food for archive.
Après, c'est peut-être dans son personnage,
Go
mais
on, look around.
ça le faisait aussi sur ma
Don't let
garde-robe.
yourself too at home. As if I didn't have enough problems before you appeared.
Could you first tell me what happened here?
What happened? People from the bridge above the camp heard a woman screaming and saw a mass of refugees attacking a man. Clearly not a refugee. When the camp guards came by, the man was floating in the sewage canal with a knife in his chest. Bam. A murder. Big news for Cordona.
I'm sure. Thank you, Inspector. Did you learn anything about the dead man?
The fellow looks like a thug. I've had dozens like him fished out of the sea over the past 20 years. Ever since these refugees arrived, there have been people on Cordona with bad blood in them. My best bet is that this thug had something against them too.
And no clue as to his identity.
He had some items on his body, but nothing to indicate who he was or where he was from.
I think I should catalogue his possessions in my records.
Go on. They're on the table near the body.
And none of the refugees were harmed?
One fellow was cut. He's lying over there near their kitchen. He's in a bad way.
You mentioned a woman screaming who attracted the bypassers on the bridge. Was she harmed?
No, she's all right, but perhaps the whole debacle started because of her. She started wailing and the refugees stood up for the girl.
And where is this young woman now?
Back there in the shacks, same as the rest of the refugees. She's been questioned by my men, but she's just some refugee girl. Can't understand much English.
Do you have any suspects yet?
You're joking, right? I've got a whole camp full of suspects. And if you ask me, this bloke had it coming. Better bury him and forget about the whole thing. And now there's a crowd gathered at the camp, and my superiors say we must thoroughly interrogate the refugees. At least those who can understand any English.
Do you believe that your superiors wish to get rid of the refugees?
I think that both our superiors would rather keep the story quiet. Since that's an unaffordable luxury now, they're looking how to protect their public image. That's why I have to waste my time waiting for my people to turn every stone and befriend every refugee.
Clearly a left handprint here.
Légère empreinte dans le sable.
Furrow in the ground. A blood trail leading to or from the canal. Someone bled profusely here. A fresh crack, as if the crate was hit recently.
But I know you can collect them all, Sherlock.
Taille 10, trace de pied
A
nu.
man's police boots, always happy to trample evidence.
Ouais, voilà, je me suis fait à peu près la même réflexion. C'est que ça, c'était pas forcément une preuve, hein, c'était juste qu'ils ont marché dessus, quoi.
A heavy boot with a worn-out sole. A simple leather sheath, perfect for a dirk. Malpal, soaked with salt water. 1,000 pounds. A fair sum, especially considering British currency isn't very common in Cordona. A steel dirk, sharp. A common accessory among sailors and soldiers. Coal dust under the nails. I don't see much coal around here.
Qu'il a creusé récemment, là. C'est un riche, c'est pas un mineur.
I'd say the blade penetrated upward, however the wound is too messy to be certain.
Ce serait quelqu'un plus grand que lui, donc. Attends, il a dit 2 ans au bas, on est d'accord, hein. Sinon, c'est l'inverse.
An interesting tattoo. Does it mean something? Heavy boots, with one sole far more worn than the other. This man was limping, John. A violent death. This man, limping. Coal dust. I think we're onto something here, John.
If they find out about the passage, everything will go.
Les policiers redoutent la mise en place d'un périmètre de sécurité strict autour du corps après la découverte du mort, qui pourrait avoir un impact sur l'argent qu'ils gagnaient jusqu'alors grâce à leurs opérations.
Oh, carnelian agate beads, a traditional African adornment. No hint of blood or impact. The blood sprayed off the blade after the strike. It might have been used as an improvised weapon. Someone was dragged against their will.
The refugees refugees have been detained and will not leave until all the circumstances are clarified.
Le voyou est aussi allé à la galerie. L'homme est mort au camp de réfugiés, le même individu qui s'introduit par effraction dans la galerie de Vogel.
You still here?
Et voilà, d'accord, je peux lui demander des choses à lui au moins quand même. Alors,
The guards at the sewers were speaking about taking refugees out of the camp. Do you know anything about this, Inspector?
Less than you do, obviously.
And this doesn't bother you as an officer of the law?
I can neither punish them nor put them on the right track, if that's what you're asking. Maybe your friends at City Hall could do something about it, but I seriously doubt that. To be honest, I'm sick and tired of being frowned on for my uniform. If those fine gentlemen you've eavesdropped on are in some shady business, that's on their heads.
ah mais oui, c'est vrai, il y a le blessé. Eh mais je l'ai totalement oublié lui.
The cut is deep, potentially serious if not treated immediately.
Est-ce qu'une branche de bois pourrait faire ça?
He is in shock, feverish and dehydrated.
Sherry, you know first aid. Surely you have a duty to help this man. You can't leave him to certain death.
Évidemment.
You know what? I'd like to understand.
What?
How did our dead man end up inside the camp in the first place?
Je dois me concentrer et trouver quelque chose pour nettoyer la plaie, pour la désinfecter, pour bander la blessure. Alors, de l'alcool ou du feu. Pour bander la plaie, du tissu propre, mais très propre, genre. Et pour nettoyer la plaie, de l'eau, de préférence propre. Donc là, on a de l'eau. Elle est bouillie, donc ça c'est bon. Elle est stérilisée. Ah bah c'est de la chance.
Nausea and stomach pain is not what he needs now.
Voilà les tissus.
Just washed. Better than nothing to bandage the wound.
Thank you.
This should make you feel better, my friend. Now remain lying down and drink as much water as you can.
Well done, Sherry. At least he won't die from the infection.
Ça c'est bien ça. Comment est-ce qu'il a pu pénétrer donc? Il peut déjà être passé par ici. Fermé depuis longtemps, ok.
Sealed shut. I doubt our man could get through these grates.
Mince.
No, it's too short for these walls or cliffs. It's unlikely anyone could get in or out of the camp by water without alerting the police guards. A single Malpal butt. Roadman cigarettes. A brand highly regarded by law enforcement officers. So there wasn't any sophisticated infiltration plan. The good old police just let the man into the camp. Now we have everything we need to get the full picture of what happened at the camp.
Bon, il y a beaucoup de choses. Donc ça, ce serait notre homme qui discutaille tranquillement. Et moi, je pense effectivement plus à ça. Donc, il est allé chercher une femme qui a l'air de ressembler énormément à notre témoin. Ah oui, j'ai compris. En fait, soit on estime que c'est lui qui l'emmène normalement de son plein gré. Et en fait, c'est ça en fait. Là, c'est une scène où en fait lui, il attaque lui pour l'attaquer elle et du coup elle se protège derrière le gars. Mais non, d'accord, ok. Donc non, c'est contre son gré qu'elle a été prise. Donc c'est ça, ça et pas ça. Ça. Bon, ils se battent en courant ou ils se battent ici. Moi je pense qu'ils se battent en courant, qu'ils se battent plus loin. Pour l'instant je vais mettre ça, je ne officialise rien. Ouais, plutôt ouais. Il avait dit que c'était une main gauche. Effectivement, ça ressemble plus à une main gauche. C'est plus... Voilà.
So, we have a thug who came to take a refugee woman with him. She resisted, but he dragged her by force. One of the refugees stood in his way, armed with a stick, yet he could do nothing against a cutthroat with a blade. The man didn't anticipate that the other refugees would intervene and stand against him. In the confusion, the woman managed to break free. The thug took fright and fled. He was stopped by the falling crates. He stumbled and fell, piercing his chest with his own blade.
Et d'accord, il s'est poignardé tout seul.
However, the wound didn't
Il
cause
s'est... D'accord, j'avais
instant
pas vu ça
death.
dans le dessin. D'accord.
He managed to stand, but still bleeding, he lost his balance on the bridge and fell. Before all of this, the man had freely entered the camp through the main entrance. The police admitted him after they had a short smoke together.
You live by the sword, you die by the sword. In our man's case, it's the same sword.
Ok, j'avais raté le détail dans le dessin du fait qu'il se prenait son propre poignard parce que donc du coup j'arrivais pas à trouver le moment où je me disais bah oui d'accord mais ça n'explique pas comment il meurt. Très bien. C'est contradictoire. Le voyou venu au clan dans l'intention d'enlever une femme, il aurait pu la tuer mais ce n'était pas son but. Ah oui d'accord, c'était ça qu'il voulait dire par l'indice. Oui, oui, ok d'accord, oui.
You still here?
Inspector, I believe I can aid your investigation. I know who the dead man is and what really happened here.
You do? Well, good for you. But I'm afraid I'm not the one you need to share your findings with. Speak to Mr. Harlow here. He's the one responsible for settling things in the camp.
You don't even care to listen?
Oh, I do care. Maybe even more than I need to. But I'm only here today to lock the place up, question witnesses, and file the facts. It's sad, but coming up with conclusions is not among my tasks here. You fellows at City Hall do that. Anyway, speak to the supervisor. I'll just stand by and listen to what you have to say.
Mr. Harlow, your refugees didn't murder anyone.
What? Pray tell me what you've learned.
All right, listen carefully. This might solve one problem for you, but will create a few more.
Oh, well, that's a great start.
The man came to the camp intending to kidnap one of your refugees, a woman. What he didn't expect was that the refugees would stand up to protect the woman. A brawl had broken out. In the chaos of it, the man stumbled over those crates and fell on his own blade.
How do you know he fell on his own blade?
The wound in his chest was inflicted from an unusual angle. It was not an offensive stab, shall we say. The refugees didn't touch him. And judging by the blood at the scene, the intruder managed to raise himself but was unable to walk very far. He ultimately fell into the canal.
But how did he sneak into the camp? Why didn't the police see him?
And this is where your new problems emerge, Mr. Harlow.
What do you mean?
You're not a dull-witted man. You know what I mean. There is no feasible way to get into the camp without the police guards knowing of it.
The pile of mess I had to sort out has just become bigger, but somehow that doesn't surprise me. Anyway, I thank you for your help, Mr. Holmes. I'll take it from here. Meanwhile, I'll make sure the police aren't detaining the refugees any longer. You can go back in and look for your witness.
You think one small clerk can make any difference in this place?
Who knows, John? Just one ill-fitting cog could make the whole machine crumble.
You're the one who tended to our man's wounds. I thank you greatly. The police didn't allow us to help him.
The police will leave you alone now. I've proven to them that the man who came into the camp died due to his own foolishness.
Thank you for standing up for us. But nobody would help us without a reason. You're here because you want something.
Yes, I do. I need to speak with the girl drawn here.
The dead man came for her too. He wanted to take the girl away, but we won't allow her to be hurt again. What do you want from Nayla?
Nayla. She was hurt some time ago. I'm here to find the people who did this and bring them to justice. And to find them, I need Nayla's help. Will you let me speak to her?
Justice. There's no justice on this land. But you helped us, so maybe your words are not empty. You can speak to Nayla, if she wants it. But I will be watching you.
Hello, Nayla? My name is Sherlock. I know someone hurt you. I am here to help. I'm trying to find the people involved and bring them to justice. Please. There is a photograph, and I'm sorry, it is terrible, but I simply must ask. Where did this happen? What can you tell me about these people? Christ, Sherlock. Naylor, I'm sorry. I'm not very good at this.
Il est vraiment très doux hein, par rapport à...
And cruel and condescending. A cross. The man had this cross. Now go away. Leave us be. I do not need another white man's help.
Not my best work, John, by a long shot. Naylor doesn't want us meddling. I'm starting to wonder what this all achieves.
But she helped you anyway. Now we know that maniac's face and the cross he wore, we can still catch him.
Help me, please.
They often take us from the camps to work. Most don't mind, though. It's the only way we get a glimpse of freedom.
Selon les réfugiés, des individus suspects viennent régulièrement au camp et prennent avec eux plusieurs de ses occupants afin de les employer à diverses tâches. Le travail est souvent laborieux, mais les réfugiés reçoivent de l'argent et de la nourriture en échange. C'est au cours d'une de ces missions que le viol de la victime aurait eu lieu. L'incident a depuis incité les réfugiés à refuser l'emploi des femmes pour ces tâches.
So there's a smuggling ring in the camp. This wasn't the first time that someone freely entered the camp to take a refugee out.
At least it was certainly his last time. My gut tells me that we'll learn more about this ring when we find out where the thug came from.
Tout est donc lié.
You still here?
The
Ok.
intruder has a most
Tout à l'heure, il me
peculiar
disait
tattoo on
que
his
c'était pas
neck,
bon et qu'il
two
savait pas.
lines and a point. Do you know anything about it?
You really want to know, kid? Why? You want to play a policeman or something?
I'm sure you have it in your records, so it won't hurt if I have it in mine.
In my records, it's just a tattoo, as it should be in yours. Ah, to hell with you. Suit yourself as to what you're going to do with it. Off the record, though, such tattoos are often connected to a man named Mr. Niccolo Bernadotti.
Bernadotti, you say?
A respectable businessman in Scaladio. His company imports goods and wines, and smuggles everything that can be smuggled between the colonies and the mainland. His people can be identified by an obscure tattoo, just like the one over there our friend has. But these are all merely rumors, you see. If Mr. Bernadotti was a criminal, he'd be in prison now. Or hanged, right?
Il va falloir que j'aille dans les archives. Ok. Le scélérat est un homme haut placé. Ses écussons sont souvent octroyés aux fonctionnaires de haut rang. Le scélérat de la photographie pourra en être un. J'ai pas trop compris comment ils ont fait le lien. Entreprise fondée en 1973 par Niccolo Bernadotti. Siège social au sud-est de Scaladio sur base. Ça, on est sur place, donc autant le faire maintenant. Reste du Royaume-Uni. Coordonnées incluses. Les produits importés comprennent des vivres, du vin, du café, des articles de tous les jours et plus encore. Le fondateur de l'entreprise est Monsieur Nicola Bernadotti, né en Sicile dans le Royaume d'Italie. Monsieur Bernadotti a déménagé à Londres à l'âge de 39 ans pour exercer son activité. Plus tard dans la même année, il a délocalisé son siège en Cordona afin de, selon ses propres dires, se rapprocher des colonies dans lesquelles il a investi. D'accord. Thomas Norton, né à Londres en 40, diplômé de l'université d'Oxford en 64, est entré en fonction en tant que secrétaire au bureau de l'intérieur en 69, accepté une position d'officier des armées en Inde en 75, s'est vu délivrer la médaille de l'ordre du bain par la reine en personne en 77, a été nommé au poste d'envoyé britannique en Cordona et a reçu son propre cabinet à l'hôtel de ville le 1er mars 78.